Hey everybody, this is Donna Meals, and we're doing day 4 of the Qualify Your Food, Qualify Your Life Challenge. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the overwhelming theme this week is just talking about stuff that is good for you and bad for you. Still gonna kind of carry through that in with the good, out with the bad, however you want to do that. I just wanted to bring up my little meme for the day, and this is from Mahatma Gandhi. It says, "Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony." And wow, that's being in a true state of balance. And I'm here to tell you, balance is good. Life is good. All this craziness that's going around in the world, I'm just kind of putting my digging my own trench and doing what's right for me and mine, and letting everybody else sort out their craziness. So anyway, I'm going to talk about a couple things today. I want you to start prepping, like next week. This week is all about just information and giving you reasons why this is good, why this is bad. And, anything in our life, it boils down to why. Normally it's the human existence. We do everything out of 3 motives, and one is to be loved, to be safe, and to belong. Okay? And being healthy and being in that realm where everything's kind of clicking, what I think, what I say, what I do, all that is all interrelated. It's all about being healthy, basically. So and the thing that I keep coming up with is, you can't be truly a happy, well put together person if you don't feel well, or if you're not working at your best state. I was just listening to a physician earlier today talking about, and he's like one of the biggest health advocates, and he said, yeah, even I go on and do like a 10-day thing after I go on vacation, because obviously when you're on vacation, you're not going to worry. I mean, you want to go out there. That's the time where you let loose and have fun. And and I'm not saying you shouldn't do that in your real life either. I'm just saying that usually ends up being a a continual week of that, or and it kind of messes up your usual deal if you have a habit of being completely really pretty good and healthy all the time. So anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting that he said that. I have another friend who, big health advocate, he actually trains health coaches, and told me that his wife is from the Champagne region of France, which, he said they go once a year and they go and hang out for a couple weeks, and then he needs a vacation for his liver. Because he just spends so much time trying all this wonderful wine, and that'd be a dream come true for me. But I asked him if they could maybe adopt me and I could go along, or come along and do my YouTube channel and document what they were doing. But anyway, there's some concepts there. So we're really just trying to investigate what things are not working and what things are working, and give you the science behind, or basically the scientific reasonings. If I went into the science, every one of these would be 3 hours long. And I'm sure we don't need to hear me talk that much, but I want to really just iterate 3 really huge categories of some items that you need to really start investigating in your diet. And the other day, I think it was day 1, I said, your little thing for today is try and make sure that you take all these certain bad elements out of your diet, or at least be aware of them, write them down, This is just more about awareness. I'm going to ask you guys on Saturday that if you want to participate, next week, and we actually go through and do some real work. This is just really kind of just introduction into some ideas and concepts, let you ponder over them. But 3 of the really bad ingredients that I really want to discuss, one is dairy. Let me get my glasses on here. Okay, need to be able to check my notes out here. Dairy, okay. There's only a small subset of creatures on this earth that was really meant to eat dairy or consume dairy. I'm not going to say cheese or whatever, but I mean like to drink milk, etc. And that would be baby cows, which we are not. So our body really doesn't have everything it needs to break down dairy properly. I think I heard a statistics that it's about 75% of human beings actually are lactose intolerant. And the only ones we know about are the ones that are violently allergic, so it makes a big deal. A lot of it is just kind of seething in the underpinnings, and just what dairy does is it causes inflammation, congestion, skin problems, irritable bowel disease, autoimmune issues. And these things can all sit there and be prevalent forever, and you're not even connected to dairy. But I am here to tell you, no human being is really meant to consume a lot of dairy. Yogurt comes in different form because it's been fermented, so it's a lot easier for us to process. Cheese really isn't that good for us, but it's so good. As a chef, I'm all about the cheese. I am. But now I've found a way to do it in moderation, so I don't have cheese all the time. But when I do, I appreciate it. I savor it. I'm a cheese snob now. And I found perfectly good, as you guys have noticed before in some of my cooking shows, perfectly good substitutions for, the cheese thing. There's some really good ones. I mean, in a couple years back, they were terrible, but they've made so much progress on that. So, for the everyday thing, it's easy to do that. But, I love me a nice aged cheddar along with some wine, or, I do, there's all kinds of things that I would love to have. I just don't have them every day. So, and that's kind of what we're getting into here. So if you could make a conscious effort, there's a lot of people. I used to be a milk drinker when I was a kid, and even in, my kids and in my adult life, you're really thirsty and suck down a nice glass of milk, and boy, that just makes me feel so good. And, even organic milk, it was flowing in my house. But, I've noticed that neither of my kids even drink it anymore, and they've picked up that little cue from me, and they've just realized that their skin is so much better. All these teenagers going to the doctor with, the dermatologists, and the dermatologist is prescribing this and that, and instead of just saying, "Don't drink milk," don't drink it. So that's my argument for that. Nut milks are good, but you need to be aware of those too, because some of them can be problematic. They're thickened with carrageenan, and just read the label. You could make your own nut milk. There's a million recipes out there, and then what the quality of the ingredients are. These days I'm doing the Milkademia. It's pretty good. I like the taste. I like Ripple. That's a really good brand. That's made from pea protein, but just really got to do the ingredient search. And we're in this series, we are going to get into a little more detail in label reading, because label reading is going to be your most significant tool. We'll do that in a few days. So, grains. Grains are an issue for human beings because thousands of years ago, we had all these different varieties, and they've all been basically gone extinct. And You know, the seed manufacturers, I've been speaking about this the last few times, they've limited it down to like maybe 8 or 12 varieties instead of thousands. And so a lot of those, it's like inbreeding. If you don't have a lot of variety, then you're going to come into problems. So same thing, you know, with soy. Well, excuse me, backtrack. Grains, the biggest problem with grains is that they're genetically modified by those same seed companies because they're bred to be efficient, handle pesticide, and produce their own pesticides. We talked about that, how yucky that is. Soy, corn, wheat, the most predominant of all of the grains. And if, I'm going to reiterate this because it's so important, if your product doesn't say non-GMO on it, it's GMO. There's no way to get around that, you know. That's just how it is. So, or I'm going to say there's a pretty damn good chance that it is. So stay away from it. Anyway, it is better if you limit your grains because through these years of all of the downsizing of the variety of the grains, always go with sprouted if you do. Organic sprouted grains because they're going to be more heirloom. They're not part of that 12, you know, inbred series. So go with those. You really want to stay away from soy. You know, soybeans here and there, but you know, stay away from mass quantities of soy and soy milk. And you know, I mean, I love tempeh. I love to make stir fries with it. I love edamame. You know, I don't have it every day. It's an estrogen disruptor. And especially if you're in your menopause phase or if you're younger, your kids that are just developing, soy is a really bad thing. It literally takes the place of estrogen, you know, and plugs in the receptors and creates all kinds of havoc. I mean, I could get into that for 2 hours. But I'm just saying, just keep in the back of your mind, you don't always want that. You know, I used to always go into Starbucks and be like, oh, I like, you know, with soy milk. You know, switch it up and don't always go with the same thing. Almond milk is great. Personally, I'm highly allergic to almonds, so I can't do it. So that's why I do the macadamia milk. So, and I will, one of these days, maybe I'll do a show about just making your own nut milk. I don't know. Got to do the cost analysis and see how that works because nuts are pretty expensive. So, okay. So the last thing I really want you to be sure and steer clear of is sugar. I mean, everybody knows that. Sugar, 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 sugar. Especially refined sugar. Horrible, terrible for you. It's basically poison, causes inflammation. It feeds cancer. It does a myriad of bad things and really gets in the way of, you know, so many of your processes in your body and just totally blows up your blood sugar. So, you know, your insulin gets all screwy. This is your biggest cause of diabetes. High fructose corn syrup is like sugar on steroids. And guess what it's in? It's in your Coca-Cola, it's in all the sodas, you know, it's in everything, okay? It's in all the cereals, all the stuff that's marketed towards kids, blacks, Latinos. Terrible. You know, we sit here and talk about racism and all of that. I mean, the food companies are the worst ones. But they have a monopoly on the mindset and they have a monopoly on Congress. So FDA is not going to touch them and all these other different arms. You know, they've all been, every time somebody tries to come in and set up some kind of a regulation of these poisons, you know, the first one, okay, think back to the tobacco industry, okay? How they always got away with, you know, until finally there was a whistleblower and then they finally, you know, went through all of that. Same thing needs to be done with the food industry, but it is absolutely 2 times larger than any other industry. You know, the conglomerate of the big food. Big Pharma, you know, is a whole other story. But all of these people, they make money on the fact that you're sick, because when you're addicted to this sugar, you're gonna keep going on. There was a story about this little baby. It was on YouTube. They showed this, I couldn't even believe it, but this woman gave her little baby, you know, 6 months old, some ice cream, and you could see this baby had never had sugar or anything like that, and the eyes got all big, and then the baby's like, more. Well, that's just plain human nature. So what do you think your kids are gonna do? You know, they're gonna reach for more. That's why we've had issues. You know, I'm guilty too. My son had to go in the ER one time because he had a blockage, because he got a hold of his Halloween candy bag and ate the entire bag. Probably because I didn't allow my kids to have too much candy. It was a treat. And so, yeah, he always remembered that when he had to have his tube up his nose, because they literally had to go in and try, and he had to be fed, and he was in there a few days. It was really scary. I mean, it's the only thing that's ever been wrong with him. I think he might have been sick once or twice in his whole life that I can remember. But other than that, you know, kid was good to go. But that Halloween candy messed him up that day. He'll never forget it, I don't think. I know I won't. But so, anywho, sugar is poison. Largest contributor to cancer and diabetes, high blood pressure. I mean, all of it, because it promotes obesity, which is where your diabetes hooks in. That's where your heart issues hook in. Obesity is like, it's the gateway illness, okay? From there, everything just goes to pot. So that's why, you know, the statistic is that 60% of Americans have a major illness that's either with them now or up and coming in the next few years. That's the statistic for this year so far. 1 in 4 have one of those major illnesses. I mean, that's sad. You know, it's sad. And the thing that we need to realize and understand is, it is not our fault. This is the way we were raised. We're, you know, and for a lot of the way the food industry began 40 years ago, maybe it necessarily isn't their fault. That wasn't their intent, shall we say. But, you know, unless you really sit down, I mean, decisions do have consequences, and after the 40 years, they're making just tons. The lobby for the food company is two times the size of any other lobby in Washington, and there's reason for that. So there needs to be a revolution, and you need to vote with your fork. And what was I heard a quote, you need to vote with your fork, and you need to vote with your wallet, and you just can't buy this crap anymore. Back to the dairy, I heard a statistic that milk, it's just gallons of milk sales are down 25%, because the word's getting out and people are starting to understand, and they're noticing other people change their life and do what we're doing here. You know, what I've done, what I'm trying to show you, what maybe you've done, maybe your friends have, I don't know. But in the end, food is killing us, and the quality of the food really matters just as much as the junk, you know. So think about that, okay? So anyway, my food hack here today is, I want you to start preparing, because on Saturday I'm going to start setting up so that maybe you can get a grocery list together, and that on Sunday do your shopping, or, you know, whatever. You figure out what's right for you, but I'm trying to give you ample time to see what my evil plan is. And I'm thinking right now, let's start thinking ahead. It's Thursday, and I'd like you to kind of make a list of maybe 5 different things that I call go-tos. And these, whether or not they're healthy or not, whatever it is in your past that seems to be something that you do, you make, your family likes, etc., whatever. And we'll go through, I'm going to put something out there on Saturday. I just want you to start thinking about that so you can come up with 5 things. And these are just going to be your go-to recipes that you make once a week, you know, or once every other week. You know, however, it's a goal, okay? So every recipe can be substituted for, added to, tweaked a little to make it more healthy and better. And I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know, 0 to 100. We can find something that's a happy medium. And anybody, you know, I'm offering myself up right now. Anybody that wants to submit a recipe to me that's their favorite, even if you just write it down in scribbles and say, or even just say what the ingredients are, you know, and what the dish is, and you know, maybe I can use a few as an example, and we'll go through on Saturday and say, well, maybe this is that, you know. This is the kind of real world work that I'm really trying to help people, because it's a tool. And the greatest tool, like I said, is literally figuring out what it is that they are supposed to eat. And a lot of that is just through trial and error and repetition, but you got to start somewhere. For those of you who feel like you're kind of lost, okay? Some of you got your act together, but maybe you have something and you thought, oh, maybe she knows of a different product or something I can use. But anyway, so that's your food hack, is just come up with your 5. Just do that today. Just whenever, if you're sitting at your desk or you're doing whatever, driving along, think of at least 5 things that are simple for you to make that everybody likes, or something that you order in that you want to figure out how to make. Okay, that's huge. You know, those are some of my best inspirations, with things I've had either at somebody's house or at a restaurant or whatever, and I'm gonna make that myself. You know, and if you need any help, you've got my email address. You can just get a hold of me at challenge@wiselifeconsulting.com. Okay, so I'm on to my last little bit here, and that's my life hack. Oh, okay. Yesterday I was outside and I was talking about the benefits of sunshine, making vitamin D, completely natural. That's part of our deal. So many of our issues revolve around the lack of vitamin D. And I didn't mention yesterday that if you're over 40, there's a pretty darn good chance that you are not making enough vitamin D. So I think it'd be a really good idea to, if you consult with your physician, and find if they can give you a really high-end prescription for that, or if they will without doing a test. Most people, you know, just talk it over with them. They have really good vitamin D. You know, they have some good supplements at Sprouts. I take 2 every day, because that was part of what was going on with me. That's why my body wasn't functioning right, and I wasn't able to lose weight because of it. So it's not your fault if you're overweight. It's not your fault. You just weren't given the correct information, and that's why I'm doing this. So that was just one thing, but my life hack for you today is to go out, like I said, and get some fresh air, breathe in some fresh air, take your shoes off and put your toes in some dirt or some grass. I prefer grass. I don't like to feel dirt in my toes, but get your bare feet in some grass. You know, if not today, maybe tomorrow. You know, go down to the park, take your dog, your kid, whatever, and do something that is not part of the usual grind, the layer, you know, top layer of the onion. Do something that's a little different, or maybe plan something to do this over the weekend. you know, to just get out somewhere, go for a walk, do something that you haven't done in a while. And, you know, there's a reason that they call it grounded. Think about that. Something about that connection with Mother Earth, it literally changes and reorients some of your energy. There's a lot of work that I do in my meditation practice, you know, where I'll listen to some guided meditations, and I'm just learning about all of this myself. I thought it was really interesting that they want, you know, that you're visualizing your feet on the ground and the energy's coming through the earth. And, you know, I can feel it in my cells sometimes, you know, when we go through and do some of those guided meditations. They're really cool. And I am going to come up with a host of good reference material for you. I'm kind of gathering all of that as it is, you know, maybe, hey, check this video out, or listen to this, or so I'm probably going to post the video. What was that? Is Dr. I have a hard time with names sometimes. So anyway, if you see a post underneath in the comments below, check it out if you can. Some of these, I know it takes time, but you know, you're gonna look at this, it's 26 minutes now, and you're gonna look at it and say, oh, don't have enough time to watch Donna today. But I guarantee you my sole purpose is to get you so much good information that it'd be really hard to carry on with the same things that aren't working. You know, if things aren't working for you, and maybe they are working for you, but it never hurts to reconnect with the truth, or maybe get a later, you know, more new version, or hear something you didn't hear before. So I mean, that's what I do every day. You know, I'm constantly reinforcing what I've heard, what I know, or finding something that just, ooh, that's different than what I knew before, and then I find somewhere else and try and see if I can negate it or, you know, confirm it. And, you know, it's up to me. It's about the information. So, so what I'm really trying to do is, because that's my thing, it may not be your thing. You may not want to spend your time in your life on that. So I'm trying to do my best to help you guys out and provide you with the best information that is available for me to find. And please, if I say something that you heard otherwise, etc., whatever, contact me, get me that info. I want to hear it. I don't want to be right. I just want to be helpful. So, okay, well, that's it for today. Gonna go out and hit my niece's softball game, and her last name is Gorman. I grew up a Gorman, and she's playing hot corner like I did. So every time she, you know, makes a play, I'm like, yeah, Gorman girl in the hot corner, making stuff happen, hitting it out of the park, woohoo! She had a home run last time. It was awesome. My grandfather was a center fielder for the New York Yankees, and it's just kind of a family tradition. So for me, it means all the world to me to go and see my family play, 'cause I don't get to see my kids anymore. I lived for that with them. So if you have a kid in sports, go out there and go see one of their events, you know, in the next few days, and just be that much more zealous and cheer them on. So that's what makes the world go round. Okay? Peace out.